Hi again, everybody. It's Harry Vanderbeck here with Sanford Health. Welcome you back to the Sanford Fieldhouse as we continue our look at how COVID-19 is affecting those athletes, those coaches, those parents, in ways that we can provide some expertise or some insight to hopefully help this experience be a little less off-putting for a lot of people. So today we've got a new expert in the mix. Very excited. We've got Dr. Josephine Combs, who is a clinical neuropsychologist, and we're going to get into a couple different things with her. She works with a lot of adolescents and dealing with concussions and a lot of different things. So that's where we're going to kind of focus today, is in the area of time management and procrastination. We're seeing this with a lot of athletes. I'm hearing it right now from strength coaches, from skill coaches, from high school coaches, from club coaches. At first, COVID was kind of fun and exciting, and it's like, oh, hey, I can do a workout at home where I normally go to the gym. And now as time goes on, it's a little like, yeah, our numbers are down. We're struggling to get kids to do anything. And these might even be good, motivated, well-intentioned kids, not kids that you're normally having to pull along. What are we seeing here with that?
So I think, first of all, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm excited to be here. I think what we're seeing is kind of an adjustment period. This is kind of an extraordinary time in multiple ways for everybody involved, and nobody really has a defined playbook for this. So what we're seeing is a variety of reactions from different people and everything they bring to the table. So a lot of people handle things very differently, and I think that's kind of what's unfolding in multiple ways. So we have very motivated individuals that are very used to just going after it and need very little reminders or incentives, and then you have people that you kind of need to kind of carry along, help to get there. So it varies, but it's not abnormal to see a variety of reactions, even in those that are normally very motivated and that don't need a lot of help, because this is a new circumstance and this is very unusual from anything they have gone through.
Sure. Hopefully parents are sort of on watch right now, and coaches too, and maybe athletes with themselves, but in a good way for, my kid is not behaving the way they normally are. For those parents or coaches that might be noticing procrastinating going on that maybe isn't there, again, you're telling us that's normal, but how can we help? We all want to help.
Exactly.
That's one thing to be okay with things. It's really hard to fight that urge to help, though.
Right. So I think balance is key. I think we want to make sure that we establish kind of a sense of balance for the athletes, so that they can accomplish their goals, but they also don't feel overwhelmed. Just because in our daily lives we tend to glorify being busy a little bit, and I always remind my athletes that being busy doesn't always equal being productive. So it's very okay to have some downtime, to do take a break, and as athletes very well know, that is part of their training.
Yeah.
They do need time to recover. So when it comes to procrastination, I think it's very important to kind of ask yourself, why am I procrastinating this task? Is it sheer, I don't like this task, I don't want to do this? Or is there more to it? Because we also know that a lot of procrastination can be driven by anxiety.
Sure.
So I think it's very important to kind of find for yourself, where is that coming from? Is it really just like, I don't want to do this because I don't like it?
Yeah.
Or is it more like, this makes me really uncomfortable, I'm actually very worried about it, and this brings up a lot of other things.
Sure.
So kind of finding out where that's coming from, I think will then provide easier strategies of tackling it. Because if it's just, well, I don't like it, then you can implement relatively easy strategies. For example, you could come up with a reward for yourself. If I complete this, then I get to do X. And that can be as simple as, having a little snack, or watching an episode of your favorite show, or whatever you want that to be. If it is more anxiety driven, then we should take a deeper look. Where is that coming from? Especially now in times where the athletes don't have the normal social network.
And there's anxiety that comes with that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they can't just vent to their best friend because they're not going to see them at practice today, and they can't just have that exchange of like, oh, that was hard for you too, cool, then I'm not alone, I'm actually doing okay.
Sure.
Right now it's more of like trial and error, and that can kind of accumulate. And I think once you kind of figure out where that comes from, have that dialogue. If you find your child or your athlete to struggle with something beyond the, I just don't want to do this, I think it's very important to communicate with them honestly.
Yeah.
And try to figure out how to help them from there.
Sure. To draw a comparison to what we're talking about here, those of you that have been following along, we've been talking with Lizzie, our sports dietitian, about how this is an opportunity to build new positive habits. She uses the example of learning to cook.
Yeah.
A lot of athletes maybe aren't great at that, so let's do it now. Likewise, time management is probably one on the flip side of procrastination is
Sure.
how can we get better at those things right now? So could you give us some tips, strategies, recommendations on how to help, again, whether it's for yourself or for your young athlete, how to help them learn time management skills right now?
Yeah, so I think time management is one of these things that is very desirable, and the advantage is that a lot of athletes already have quite a bit of it. They have a good skill set already they can build upon because they know how to manage their time. They know to, take time aside, like this is going to be time for practice, this is going to be time for homework. I have to get this done now because I have something else coming up later. So with that being kind of pulled away under them, I think it's important that they create a structure that works for them. So if you're normally somebody that enjoys morning practice, put your workout in the morning. If you're somebody that you need a little break in the afternoon, that's okay. Take that break and then kind of structure your goals around that. Make sure that your goals are attainable. And it also doesn't hurt to actually write them down and kind of allot time for them. Beginning earlier is always best, obviously. So for example, with a lot of online assignments, what I've noticed is that a lot of them are due on the same day, kind of towards the end of the week. That might not be true for everybody, but I've noticed that a lot of things fall on one day. So if you normally have, let's say, algebra on Tuesdays, why don't set yourself that deadline? I'm going to finish that on Tuesday, so you don't have to worry about it with
Sure.
3 other things that are due on Friday. So just kind of creating that structure for yourself and building the breaks into that. They're just as important as getting things done. The other thing that helps a lot with time management is actually separating areas. So normally we go to school, we do our work there right now. A lot of teenagers, I see that happen. They start, and they might do that already with their homework, but a lot of stuff happens, like for example on their bed. Like they watch YouTube videos, they play on their phone, and they complete their homework. So and that kind of leads them to that procrastination a little bit more because it's very easy to just kind of push that book aside and scroll a little bit longer. So if we have designated areas, okay, I'm going to the dining table to finish this assignment and I'm doing it here and I'm getting up when I'm done or unless I need to, whatever. It helps a little bit more with separation. It helps to stay focused on the task and actually completing it.
Sure.
So that can also be helpful to creating that schedule, assigning certain areas to complete the task that goes with it.
Yeah, it's also challenging. I know, again, seeing this in my own house, that you might be used to going to the office and working from 8 to 5, and now with trying to teach your kids, online learning, you can't do that anymore, so you've got to get comfortable with, well, wait a minute, I might have to hop on a meeting at 7 o'clock at night, and that's not my norm.
Right.
Could you give people, as we kind of wrap up here, an indication of how much of what we're experiencing right now is quote-unquote normal in the sense that it's human? We're in a unique situation, but this is natural to sort of react differently or to struggle with some things, versus where it kind of crosses a line for, again, if I'm a parent, maybe I need to seek help for myself or my young athlete.
Yeah, so I think that's a tricky question because that's going to depend a little
Sure.
bit on each individual and each family. I think what's important is to find what works for you. So I think it's important to, as a family, have that communication channel and actually sit down and be able to tell your kids, I do have a meeting later tonight, and I know normally this is family time, but it's a little different right now, so please help me out. If you could, I don't know, do the dishes for me instead on that time, or like watch your little sister for me and, help out, like integrate them. Because a lot of these kids, they're smart. All of them are smart. They know something is going on. They can tell. And if we integrate them in that process and actually let them know, like, listen, this is what's going on, and you can choose the wording however you see fit. But if they are involved, if they feel like they have a say and they are heard when they voice a concern, it's less anxiety provoking and they feel like they're more in control. Another thing things that you can do is you can provide choices. If you find yourself in a situation where you need help from your children, whether it's completing a chore or being a little bit more independent by completing their homework, you can talk to them about that. It's like, listen, would you like to do your homework first, or would you like to clean the dining table first? And then they kind of can choose, and you guys can then group together. And I think communication is just really key because the kids can sense that something's going on, that they right, and if they're kind of kept in the loop and they are integrated, they're going to have a lot easier time to cope with. And for the parents in return, then there's not a ton of surprises because we did talk about this, right? I asked you to help me out with this. We knew this was coming.
Right.
So how about we get this done together?
Yeah, fantastic. Our guest today, Dr. Josephine Combs. Again, go to sanfordhealth.org to find her bio and find out how you can get in touch with her more. Thanks for lending your insights today. Hope to have you back soon, although we'd like for this to be over soon too, so we'll see where that balance goes. So thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned. We'll have more content coming up for you.